because the Federal Reserve has been in charge for over 100 years now, everybody's blaming them for corrupting the money, which they have, and once you go from 1913 to now, they've done many different things. Bretton Woods Agreement, to where we made the US the world's reserve currency. Then we depegged from the dollar in 1971. Then in '08, we started doing QE and QT, quantitative easing and quantitative tightening. That's what I wanted to bring up. Secondly, so when we started doing quantitative easing and quantitative tightening, I'll explain it to you right now, Bitcoin came out as a response to that. Now, it wasn't specifically like, oh, QE started, let's create Bitcoin. Cypherpunks and everybody had been trying to create digital cash for a long time. But it finally came to a culmination, coincidentally, right after they started doing QE. And I believe that Satoshi Nakamoto, we don't know who he is. He went anonymous after he created Bitcoin. We don't know if that was an individual. We don't know if there's some people that think it was the CIA. There's some people that think it was just a group of people. It doesn't really matter. It's just too coincidental that Bitcoin came out right after we started QE and QT. And when I show you what this is, I'll explain it right now, you'll understand. When you start putting the pieces together, you'll start realizing why it's better to view this as a response to the broken monetary system. Quantitative easing is when a central bank, like the Federal Reserve, creates money and uses it to buy financial assets, such as government bonds or other securities. Goals to increase the money supply, lower interest rates. Let's not go too far into that. Here's the idea. What's going on here is the central bank buys government bonds or treasury securities, which is in a sense how they print money. You hear nowadays, oh, they're printing so much money. We're spending more money than we have. Our debt is going through the roof, primarily because of QE. Stimulus happens, and it happened during the COVID and things like that. But part of how that stimulus happens is all through quantitative easing. They're not taxing everybody by triple and then taking the money and then putting the stimulus. They do QE. The central bank buys government bonds or treasury securities. So you have the United States Treasury. It issues a note saying, hey, give us some money. We'll pay it back to you with some interest. Federal Reserve goes, okay, here's your money. And then you might ask, well, where's the Federal Reserve get it? They create it out of nowhere. That's where it comes. It comes out of nowhere. You can look this up. They literally create a ledger out of nothing. It's not backed by anything. It's just a new computer ledger. Tell the Treasury security or the US Treasury, okay, now we created a ledger for that. Here's the money. And it's just a ledger from their bank to the Treasury's ledger that they use. And then that's distributed out to all the other banks in the US in different ways, which I couldn't tell you if I tried, right? So that's QE, and that's printing money out of thin air. That's not going to stop. That's not going to stop anytime soon. It's not going to stop as a tool anytime soon. They're actually not doing QE right now. What they're actually doing right now is QT, which is very responsible, believe it or not.